Hi, Mr. Mendiola. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview regarding FBLG Guerrero Middle School. And I'm also hoping to discuss the 20% issue, if that's okay with you afterward.
Okay, sure, no problem.
I suppose the first thing I wanted to ask is what's going on, do you know, over at FBLG Guerrero Middle School?
Yeah, so Troy, thank you first for an opportunity to address, your listeners. Made aware of the situation up at, of course, there's a lot of photos circulating about the condition of the school. It's a great concern for, a lot of our board members and, of course, the administration, the acting superintendent. And so I do know that, they did some assessments. They'll continue to do so. I know FBLG is one of the schools that's being prioritized for major repairs. But I think because of the recent earthquake, I think it's, has exposed a lot of challenges that the school has. And obviously these things didn't happen overnight, by the looks of the photo. But I think, with the recent shift, perhaps in the structure, it may cause some other issues. And so I am aware that the acting superintendent has reached out to do the assessment with an engineer just to make sure that the school is structurally sound. So I've not heard any reports back from him regarding that, but I do know that it's one of his top priorities at this point.
So the photos and the video that I sent you actually were taken prior to the earthquake, and they seem to show unsanitary health conditions at the school. Also, of course, what may be structural issues because things are coming from the roof of several classrooms.
Right.
But I wanted to ask: have public health, environmental health inspectors been there?
Yeah, to my knowledge, I do not know of any public health or environmental health at the school, but I do know that, prior to the start of the school, we did the Safe and Healthy School Committee did a tour of the campus, and they raised a lot of red flags regarding the school facility. I do know that, like I mentioned earlier, that this is it didn't happen over it's happened over time. Obviously, the school is one of the older schools in our inventory for education, so it needs the attention that it's going to get. I don't know, like I said, with respect for the external agencies, but I do know that, like I said, the superintendent has engaged with a structural engineer. Now, with respect to some of the classrooms, I do know that, with the leaking roofs, things of that nature, I do know that they were supposed to shift some of these students to other classes. I'm not certain about that. But as soon as the report's readily available from the superintendent to the board or to myself, I'll be more than happy to clarify anything.
Mr. Chairman, was it with the Health and Safety Committee raising red flags specifically at FB? Was it a responsible idea to reopen the school when school started?
The board, obviously, when we do these things, we look at the totality of, just for school readiness and opening the schools. And so, to my knowledge, the report that was given to us that this school in particular had some issues regarding, the roofs leaking and things of that nature. So, that's a question I have to probably get more information regarding that.
Yeah, okay. Do you think we can get some answers from DOE Central whether about the decision to allow FB to reopen, considering the red flags?
Sure,
Okay.
I do know the deputy of Erica Cruz. I'll probably get some information from the acting superintendent, try to get that information to you. But I do know that the Safe and Healthy Committee Chair, Marie Gutierrez, did raise the questions to some of the things that was going on that they observed at the FBM. And I don't know what state, I just know that there's a lot of raining lately. And so I don't know, when those photos were taken, Troy, but obviously it's not a condition that we want our students to be in.
Were parents informed of the deficiencies after the red flags were raised and before school opened?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
I don't know if parents were informed. I did ask the superintendent to inform the community of decisions that he'll be making regarding the the current situation.
Okay.
So obviously, we got to just move forward, but we need to figure out quick and fast in a hurry. What are the next steps for FBL and Guerrero? And so I know that we've authorized them to, and it really rises and falls with the superintendent when it comes to the the safety of the school.
Okay. Did I hear you right that you said that repairs have been prioritized for FBLG?
Yeah, at this point, I do know that the superintendent has visited the school after the reports came out, and part of the facilities master plan that's before the board, it identifies these schools. And so, if you recall back in the years when Superintendent John Fernandez was on board, the Army Corps of Engineers did an assessment, and it's called deferred maintenance costs.
Yes.
And so these are a lot of deferred maintenance issues, and obviously the budget of the Department of Education, the bulk of it goes towards the operations and personnel costs, and of course whatever's left there goes to the operations, and very little bit is left to facilities and maintenance. With the influx of federal money coming in, and with these new facilities master plan, there's money set aside for the CIP. But it might be even go further than that. I don't know, Troy, but I do know that there is funds that we are able to have access to address the immediate needs of the school.
How much money?
If I recall correctly, initially I think it's around $80 million for the whole entire CIP.
Okay.
That was set aside for all the schools. And then if you hear out in the community, a lot of the the canopies that are being repaired and all that stuff, that's also for the Department of Interior grants that's administered through the governor's office. So we're getting some support on that. But when it comes to the CIP funding for capital improvement, the ones that we had from the ARROW funding, this is where we are able to use some of these funds to help with the school. So it's just a matter of figuring out the safety issue and then, prioritizing how to get the school back up into where it needs to be. Or maybe we should have started even having a discussion of building a brand new school. I do know that Simon Sanchez is 100% at this point. But, the school is at a point where we definitely have to, look at alternatives. Safety is going to be, of course, the paramount issue. So, yeah, that's it's a long-winded response, Troy, but obviously there's multiple moving targets for the whole entire school district with this facilities master plan. I'll be more than happy to provide that to you. I think at our next board meeting we're going to be adopting the facilities master plan, but it has been completed.
How is it possible, at the very least for FBLG, and I understand that there are several other schools that are also in disrepair, but how is it possible, at least at this school, that the statutory requirements of the Adequate Public Education Act are being met at this school? Is anyone keeping tab of that?
Yeah, obviously, Troy, we're going through a transition with with our superintendent, our outgoing superintendent. Like I said, this is not something that, I get from that, at least from my standpoint, was not put on my radar with respect to the shape of the facility of the school at that point. I visited FBL in the past, but, when I saw those photos, I said, man, I don't recall, seeing it that bad. I knew that there were some areas that needed some support and some help. I do a lot of these aging schools doing some of the structural help, but, all I can say, Troy, is with the attention that the community is giving to this, we need to fix the problem and figure out the best solution to addressing the challenges of that school.
So there is a concern then that at least at FBLG, the Adequate Public Education Act might not be met.
Yeah, to my knowledge, of course, there's the 14 points, right? The conditions of the school. I'm trying to recall, in terms of the facilities. Yeah, but it really the school administrator also, of course, working with the administration of the department. They have certain things that they're able to do. A lot of this stuff, Troy, even though it's operational, we also have a constituency base, a good portion of the majority of the board who's actually elected, and Oftentimes, when these operational issues come, conditions of school really lies involved the superintendent based on the law. The school is not safe. He has the authority, a lot of authority to shut the schools down and, consider, alternative means to provide education for our students and anyone in the district. So, I can say that, with acting superintendent, we've at least from my standpoint, and some of the board members that are aware of the situation. Situation of told him that we support whatever decision he makes to make sure the students are safe.
Is there a contingency plan, and what is that contingency if there are considerations for shutting down FBLG as a campus? What do you do with those students?
Yeah, I think that's something that that needs to be further discussed with the school community. I heard proposals such as perhaps going shifting and adjusting temporary structures, even what do you call it, double session, just space utilization, right? Within the campus. I mean, obviously, I think we need to go in there first and do the structural assessment, and then from there figure out if it's worth repairing the facility and what are those repairs need to happen. So I just know that we got to get it done. We got to get it fixed. And so the contingency plan, those are options that the department may consider. Of course, at the end of the day, it's really the safety of the students. So once that decision is made, then we can figure out and move forward how to provide education to these students of FBLG.
We've received 2 reports of 2 students in separate incidences slipping on. It's one of those pictures that I sent you, the floor where the water seems to be coming from underground or coming up from the tiles. 2 students slipped, and 1 student actually slipped and fell on her face. Are you aware of that and other reports of students getting hurt because of the conditions?
Well, yeah, Troy, I have not heard any reports of that coming back to us. Obviously, if that did occur, then of course there should be reports internally at the department to fix the problem or address the issue. But to my knowledge, no, I have not received anything of that nature.
Hearing this report for the first time, then does this raise your level of concern, and how do you feel about the Board of Education becoming more involved in at least the oversight of this issue?
Yeah, so, I hear that, especially when students get hurt, it raises the question, right? And so, if it did happen, someone must have known or knows about it and should document it, the type of, the incident, and then, how to prevent it from happening again. And so I don't know the details of that, but, like I said, at this point, the board is aware of the situation. At least some of my colleagues are intimately involved in the Safe and Healthy Committee, and then, of course, the chair and vice chair. So this is a big task ahead of us. We really need to figure this out sooner than later. So, in terms of oversight, constant communication with the superintendent, updating the board as to what the challenges and issues are at FBLG and then what his decision is going to be to address it. I think he needs options, and I think that's what he's going to rely on from his management team, all working together from the curriculum side to the deputy that manages the school operations, and then, of course, on the finance side. So they really got to get options going here sooner than later. And so, I think the board will continue to support, any decision that, or where they need to just look at the overall safety of the school campus. And so, in the next couple of days, I'm pushing for at least some sort of, announcement or review to the community about what the next steps are for FB Guerrero.
You said in the next couple of days, we're pushing for some sort of answer or review on what the community will be doing with FB?
I think that anything that the especially the students, the staff, and the faculty, they need to hear from the leadership what the options are for them, and they need to figure it out pretty quickly here. So, obviously, that within internally we don't have a structural engineer, so I think they're bringing someone on board to come in, take a look at it, address those issues, and then once they identify the priorities of the things that need to be fixed, roof repairs, things of that nature, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to prioritize and move it as quickly as possible.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman, for placing these types of questions at your doorstep. I understand that you're a policy board, but I've sent these questions to DOE Central, and it's been 7 days now, and so I need to raise a question to you now. Is there a higher incidence of students falling ill at FBLG compared to other public middle schools?
Troy, I don't know the details of that. Definitely, someone should be able to respond to our media partners out there to get information out there that's accurate and that is justified. With respect to the incidence of sickness going on at the school, if there's a rise in it, I don't know that information. But
okay, I'm only asking because part of the reports are that. And I saw the picture of at least one desk that was just completely ridden with mold. And I saw multiple pictures of live and dead rats at the school.
Yes. So, Troy, I appreciate you, those folks are sending it to you. If you could send that, well, first off, like I said, I apologize, for whatever reason that information is not being passed out to the media, to you folks when you ask those questions. But now that we're having a conversation, I don't get involved in the operational stuff. But if you're kind enough to send that to me, what I'll do is I'll send it directly to the superintendent and see what kind of responses they get from that. I think, I don't know if those pictures are being sent directly to the school administrator and if they're addressing it. But there has to be some sort of response as to, whether or not these are things that is actually occurring at the school. I don't know. It was news to me, sir, and I appreciate you bringing it up. I definitely would like to give the department or that school administrator an opportunity to respond to those photos that are being circulated.
Okay, and finally on the school facilities issue, this is just FBLG, and the only reason we're making an issue of it is because students sent us these alarming pictures and video. Well, first of all, would you agree that this has become an urgent issue for the department?
Oh, I can say that, Troy. That since these photos have been circulating, and possibly even before that, I don't know what has transpired since they've been put on notice, but. This has been brought to the forefront even more so with the photos circulating and reports coming in. And so as these things come in, obviously we need to take it seriously, and we really need to just get a grip on it and move forward. And I think the key issue here is active communication to the school community that's being affected by things like this, especially when it comes to their health and safety. And so I think the key point that we're trying to make here is figure out what the problem is, the challenges are, have the solutions, developed and formulated and inform as quickly as possible those that are affected by it. But yes, it's a great concern to me personally, and I'm pretty sure to a lot of people that are knowledgeable of what's going on at FBD on Guerrero. And so I hope that, like I said, in the next couple of days, that there'll be some information circulating out there to the community, FBLG community, about what the options are for the Department of Education. And I will, Troy, relay the message to our folks, our PIO, and also the superintendent and the deputies that that they need to respond to these questions if they have the information, and if they don't, to let you folks know so that when they do get it, they're able to respond to you folks.
Well, the reason I asked that question was I'm wondering whether you are aware of any other urgent situations at other public schools.
Troy, not to my knowledge. I do know I volunteered my time 2 weekends ago over at Guerrero Middle School
Mm-hmm.
We got a group of volunteers together. That's an aging school as well. A lot of plumbing issues, things of that nature. And I'm working with the principal, working with the mayors, just to kind of assist the school in, get, call it the low-hanging fruit, and then just getting the financial support to getting a lot of these repairs that need to be done at the schools. My wish list, Troy, for the Department of Education, of course, is, the safe and healthy of our students, making sure our facilities are, the ones that are aging are modernized and brought up to speed. And then, of course, if they're not able to repair and fix these schools, then to, start looking at other alternatives and building schools. We have 41 schools to operate,
Mm-hmm.
and every school is important to every community. If you recall back in the day when they shut down FT Sanchez, that was just took a lot of the breath out of the folks down in the South. But if you look at our schools right now, we're playing with a lot of challenges, but there should be no excuse for us to let these conditions go on. We just really need to, now that we have a little bit of reprieve from the federal government in terms of support for capital improvement, we should be seeing a little bit more action going on in terms of, repairs. I do know that air conditioning is one of the biggest challenges in the opening of the school. I believe that's going to be addressed with this new contract. There's going to be a lot of movement in repair and modernization of the HVAC system in the schools.
Okay.
And so that's one thing I know that's going to be addressed. Sometimes Sanchez is another area that's been on the radar of the board.
Well, with that being said, Mr. Chairman, about the radar of the board, would you guys appreciate it if we made a call out to the community that if they are aware of, if the students or teachers are aware of conditions in their public schools requiring urgent action, that they send us those pictures and videos so that we can send that over to you guys so that you are made aware of what's happening?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I appreciate the folks in the community do know. They do have run across that. Forward it to the school administrator. Give them an opportunity to respond and figure out, from there what the issue is. And then, of course, if we never, for lack of a better term, put a gag order in any of our schools. And to my knowledge, school administrators and other folks to responding to their student population and families, and so they can. I know for a fact that I directed to the principal, my children's schools, and then I'm in a precarious position because I'm also on the board. That I highly encourage the community out there to engage with their principals, their schools, and if they don't get the response that they're looking for, work it up to the chain. I think Erica Cruz is also trying to, like I said, the operations for the deputy, and then of course the superintendent. And it should be resolved, before it gets up to the board level. Like you said, we're a policy board, and oftentimes, we get involved in the operations sometimes in terms of being knowledgeable of what's going on. But at the end of the day, it lies in the fall with the superintendent. That's where we have to provide support for the superintendent to take on the action that he needs to operate the school safely.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for answering these questions regarding FBLG and the school facilities. May we turn our attention to the 20% educator pay raise?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I'll answer to what I know.
This might actually be a board issue.
Okay, sure.
We're getting reports from teachers that they were finally made whole with their 20% over the past week. But that they were that there was a lag in getting that paid. But what's more concerning to them is they're being told by DOE Central, according to teachers from multiple schools, actually, that DOE Central is telling them that the educator pay raise may only last to September 30, and they're not certain whether they're going to get the 20% come October 1st. What is going on, and how can how can the government of Guam fix this issue?
Yeah, well, I do know that in the budget session that was passed, that just recently passed, I think there was an inclusion of that. And correct me if I'm wrong, Troy, I don't know if you're following that.
I was not, I'm sorry. I can check with the legislature.
There was proper legislation to include into the budget, the 30% increase.
Thir-
30%, the 20% increase.
20% increase. Okay. So it's funded then.
Go ahead.
It's as long as the governor signs the budget, it will be funded.
I believe so. Read up the process. Like I said, when this thing first happened, initially, former Superintendent John Fernandez requested, to be able as part of the retention. What do you call that? The federal government, I forget what they call it, allowable expenses under the funds that we received.
Mm-hmm.
That they're able to, first part of the retention of, if you look at what's going across the nation, Troy, there's a large loss in people in the in the education field. And so that's one of the reasons why they made it an allowable use of some of the funds to retain, educators. And then I do know as soon as that was asked and was given, there was, I think it was Senator Joseph, if I'm not mistaken, that initially, and maybe perhaps Senator Jane and Nelson, I think those are the two senators that offered legislation to make sure that the department was made whole moving forward through legislation. And so I think that when you moved into the budget discussions, that was the question of the day was, are they going to include it? So it will go into the local appropriation side of the House. And so when the transition there, of course, it will be moving forward, it will be the obligation of the government to meet the pay increases that was implemented.
Okay, well, at least that's good news for the teachers. Thank you so much, Mr. Mendiola, for answering these questions. If it's possible, if you can ask DOE Central, or if they can give you the information so that you can give it to me regarding the incidents of students falling ill, the status of the assessment, or at least a timeline of the assessment, and also the contingency plan for FBLG at least.
Okay, so as this information comes through, I'll definitely, we'll reach out. You can reach out to me, and I'll let you know. So those are the three issues that you would like me to
as a follow-up.
To the superintendent for response.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And thank you for your time, man. I appreciate allowing us the opportunity to engage and to have meaningful discussions, because I always want people to know that these are important things for our community. We got to give them the information that they need so that they know what's going on.
Awesome. Thank you very much. You have a good day.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.